All right, let's talk more about the Texans coaching situation with a guy that actually knows at least one of these candidates very, very well. That would be former Texans quarterback Matt Schaub, quarterback the Texans from 2007 to 2013. Matt, great to see you. I know a lot of fans are excited to hear from you as well. First off, how are things with you in retirement life now?
It's going well. A lot of family time. Thanks for asking, Randy. A lot of family time coaching my kids, being involved in their school and things like that. It's been different the past two falls, not having camp to go to in August and weekends to kick back and watch the games. But it's been nice to have a little downtime.
Big adjustment when you first jump into retirement because you were in the league, 17 years, a long time.
Yeah, it is. It was a little bit of an adjustment. I think at home might have been a little more of an adjustment having me around for all the morning routine before school and pick up and drop off. But we've eased our way into it now.
Hey, a lot of fans here obviously enjoyed the great career you had and the great run you had here in Houston. What's your fondest memories here with the Texans during your time spent here as the quarterback?
We'd have to have more time, I think, to go through all of them. But, just bringing the organization to a winner, finding our way to a division championship, making the playoffs, that culmination of all the hard work, all the things that we did behind the scenes, all the hard work in the offseason, in the weight room, in the film room, with the coaches and how we were able to build it. That I take a lot away from that. But just the rallying around the community, the support that we got made it all happen.
Now, you saw firsthand what football means to this city, and you guys were a winning organization. Hey, I want to ask you, obviously the Texans matter in the news, as you probably well know, with the coaching situation. And I want to ask you about one of the candidates that's very much under consideration, DeMeco Ryans, a guy you had a chance to play with. When you look back at what he was as a player to what he's doing now, are you shocked at all that once he made the decision to get into coaching, the success he's having right now?
I'm not shocked at all. It was just what you said. Once he got into it, and that's what he wanted to do, I knew he would thrive and he would rise to the top of the game. We called him Cap, short for captain. I mean, he was one of our leaders. He was a quarterback on defense. He was a guy. I came in and he was just past his rookie season, and I could see his maturity level and his knowledge of the game was immense at such a young age. And so you could see if that was something he was going to pursue, he was going to be successful.
Was he a guy just like a lot of players, you know what it's all about being a quarterback. You got to soak up every chance you get, the new information that's coming in. Did you kind of see that in DeMeco as well as a player that now he's probably carrying into his coaching career?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much credibility when you've sat in the room, when you've gone through what the players go through on a day-to-day basis. When you're a coach and you've lived that experience, that carries a lot of weight. And you can just see when you watch him and his team in San Francisco play and they're having success and they're flying around, he's having fun. I mean, he's having a ball on the sidelines. He's laughing. You have that DeMeco smile that he had on the field, even when he was playing. I mean, you just see that passion and that exudes throughout the whole team. And you can see why guys are playing as hard for him, just like he did.
Right now, he's one of the leading candidates for this job. What do you think it would mean for this city? I know it seems like the fans right now are Team DeMeco. They want him to get this job. And, of course, we'll find out after Sunday's ball game when the second interviews take place. But what do you think it would mean for a guy like DeMeco with his leadership ability to come in and hopefully kind of recharge this organization from the head coaching position?
Right. And you just said, I think, number one, he brings that leadership quality, that leadership ability to bring guys together, to galvanize a locker room and a city. He'll have the full support of the fans because they know him. They know what he's about. They remember him even 10 years after he was done playing for the team. And just that connection will already bring that much awareness and that much popularity back with the team. And then, it'll be about him bringing in the people around him to help elevate the whole staff and bring the right players in to make it come full circle.
What was his personality like as a player? He seemed like a quiet leader, but behind the scenes, was he a pretty vocal guy?
Yeah, he had a calm demeanor. I mean, he was, I think, probably what he did for the media more than, his teammates. I mean, he was a calm, reserved leader, but he had a good feel. for what guys needed. He knew when that smile went away that we all know, and he was all business, but he also knew when to have fun. And he had that happy balance in that, he wasn't getting too high, he wasn't getting too low. And I think guys responded well to that because they saw if he's going to be calm in the face of adversity, they can remain calm too. And that influence you could see permeate through the whole locker room, but especially on defense, because at that time we had a lot of young pieces that were coming in. The J.J. Watts, Connor Barwin, Brian Cushing was a young player, so all those pieces were feeding off of DeMeco and how he responded to situations. As
a quarterback, obviously you were well respected. People listened to you. You were a great leader. Defensive side, what were some of the traits you think he had that from immediately young in his young career that he was able to kind of get a grasp of that locker room and people listen when he spoke?
He was never satisfied. He never was just comfortable with his position or how the defense was operating. He was always trying to learn more, and he was trying to understand the game deeper. He came into the quarterback meetings in between sessions in training camp. He'd come over and talk to me, and I'd talk to him. Hey, what'd you see when we gave you this look? What were you thinking? And vice versa. He'd want to know about formations and what we're trying to do to the defense. And that was that telltale sign to me, like this guy wants to know more. This is more than just him playing middle linebacker for the Houston Texans. He wants to totally immerse himself in the game as a whole. And that was in his second and third year in the league. I mean, you can just imagine now, this many years later, where his information base is at. Did
y'all sense then, did it even cross anybody's mind like, hey man, he might be a great coach one day, even way back then, or you think that kind of developed throughout the years of his career and as he kind of worked his way up, especially in San Francisco?
Yeah, I think that's something developed over the years. I don't think as such a young player, you're necessarily thinking about that side of it. As players, for better or worse, we have the blinders on. We're just trying to get to the next season, the next game, the things right in front of us. It's hard to think about that big picture and that life after the game. While it's important and it's necessary, I don't think that was the top of mind, but you could see the roots starting to grow.
What do you think the keys are for any head coach, probably any level, but specifically in the National Football League? Once you get the keys and you are the head coach of an NFL franchise, I mean, you got to be managing so many different areas. Why do you think he is ready now to be a head coach?
Through his experiences and where he's been, having the role he's had the last few years with San Francisco, being around Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, and how they've conducted their team and how they put pieces around themselves to be successful as the leader. Obviously he's got a lot more on his plate because he's going to obviously have a hand in on the defense, but he's also going to have to handle the day-to-day media obligations, the running of the whole team. But he's only going to be as good as those he puts around him. And that's, as a leader, you got to recognize, okay, where are my holes? What do I need to fill in? And who's going to be the best offensive coordinator for the vision I see, the best special teams coordinator, and then quarterback coach, things of those nature. He needs to have the right people to give him the right insight, and then it'll just filter out throughout the whole organization.
How close have you been watching their season? And I know you have a lot of friends, obviously, in the league, but with the attention he's been getting, have you been watching a little bit closer as they've made their run through the playoffs?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a great time of the year, January, and watching playoff football. And, actually I got to visit with him. San Francisco came to Atlanta to play the Falcons, I think in late November, early December. So I got to go down and visit with them. And but it's been fun to watch, all the guys throughout the league that I know that are either still playing or coaching, and those that have coached me, and keep in touch with them because it's obviously a big part of my life. So to stay up to date with everything has been important.
Hey, I want to ask you, as they make the decision, how important is this? And we're kind of where the Texans organization is right now, the instability with two head coaches in the last 2 years. How important is it to get this one right? If it's DeMeco, I think obviously a lot of fans want him, but if they choose to go maybe to a Jonathan Gannon or the other candidates, how important with this franchise, because you've been a part of this, is it to get it right at this time to try to get this organization back on track here?
Well, it's vital. I mean, after the last few years, it's vital to get it right. And what does right mean? Well, I think that just stability. And whoever it is, I would love to see my good buddy and former teammate DeMeco Ryans, wearing a headset. He's gonna get there. Yeah. But whoever it is, it's about stability, leadership, and allowing time for things to play out. And, I think that's important, but it starts with leadership and it starts from the top. And so I think it is important because the last 2 years, I know from watching from afar and still having so many connections with the organization and with the city, they're desperate for that next step and for that stability to come back.
Well, if he gets the job, obviously he's as you know, he's a defensive guy. He comes in, then the next question, well, who would run the offense? I mean, you're a former quarterback. You got Gary Kubiak that still lives in the area. I mean, could we get a reunion going here or what?
Hey, I'm only one phone call away. I mean, we'll see. Who knows? But, I know there's a lot of good offensive minds out there, but, my phone's always on.
There you go. Hey, I want to ask you, Matt, before we let you go, the other storyline out of Houston, all eyes they're always on the quarterback, right? You know about that pressure. Davis Mills here, they've been in the system now for a couple of years. What have you seen? I don't know how often you've seen him play. If so, just your takeaway, kind of where he is in his development. They really evaluated him heavily this year, and of course, with the number 2 pick coming up, there's speculation that they're going to go quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's done fairly well. I mean, I've only seen a little bit. I haven't seen a ton just being in Atlanta and the way the games shake out. But from what I've seen, he operates efficiently. He's not careless with the football. I think as a quarterback, you got to have pieces around you. You got to have all of those. And, I like what I've seen in their run game this season and how their young running back situation has developed. But, I think you've seen a quarterback that's developed into it, coming into his own, and has taken advantage of an opportunity. But we'll see what happens with the picks. I think that'll be a big decision for the next coach is who's going to operate under center and what the direction is for the quarterback position, because you want to find that long-term solution or what you think is the long-term solution.
All right. Well, listen, man, great conversation. And I guess lastly, I want to ask you, how much do you enjoy kind of staying connected to the game with all your friends that are still playing and maybe those that have retired like yourself, and being around the league for so long, staying close to it? Is that still a lot of fun for you?
It's a blast. I mean, it's a fraternity. It's a unique group, and you go through so much as a player, whether they were teammates or they're just other former players. No matter what team you were on, you went through similar circumstances, and you can relate. And when you see someone or you talk to someone, and they've been in that locker room, man, it's a unique group of men that you come across. So it's a unique bond, and so I keep in touch with those guys, and it's fun. Now that everyone's playing well into their 40s, as it seems, it makes me wonder why I got out so soon.
Yeah, you probably don't miss the hits and the pain on the Mondays after the Sunday games, though, right?
No, but you know what? That just tells you did something.
That's right. That's right. Well, Matt, man, always good to catch up. It's been a long time, but I know you did so much for this city and this organization. Former Pro Bowl Texans quarterback Matt Schaub. Matt, thanks for the insight, especially on DeMeco. Hey, we'll see how it all plays out in this coaching search, man. Take care of yourself.
All right. Thanks, Randy. Thanks for having me on.